Hi, I'm Randy Jackson. I coached for over 30 years. Our staffs did like most of you guys and tracked everything we could: strength, speed, attendance, grades. But the one thing that always frustrated me was the things that matter most, the intangibles, the culture. Those were the things that were hardest to track and quantify. This is why I created OVR. It's a live scoreboard for your culture. It combines the measurable performance, speed, strength, and GPA with the intangibles that we talk about every day but are so hard to measure. So, for the first time, coaches can actually reinforce and reward those behaviors daily. Athletes can see the rankings, earn badges, build streaks, compete daily. That's OVR. It's not just another app, it's daily competition. Your athletes are ready for OVR. Are you? Okay, guys, Darrin Fisher is with us today. And Darrin is an OVR client who has been using it about 3 weeks and loves it. Darrin and I were talking yesterday for about 45 minutes about OVR. And he gives me a lot of good ideas, and we add them every time. Darrin has been coaching. Darrin, 30.
This will be year 35. This will be year
Wow, as a head
30.
coach.
This will be year 37 overall.
Okay. Dude, so you've been 35 out of 37 having to deal with the stuff.
Yeah, I started off, I was the youngest head coach in the state of Indiana with another friend
Yeah.
of mine, but
Yeah.
back when I was 24 years old. Yeah. So
So how long
it's
have you
been a
been at
good,
Whiteland?
this is year 22.
Good job, man. So for all the listeners, where is Whiteland? What is it near in Indiana?
Indianapolis, we are 20 minutes south of Lucas Oil Stadium. So we are in the Indianapolis metro area, the 5 county ring. We are in the southern county. So we're about from downtown. Is anybody on this call from Iowa? I coached in Iowa for 9 years.
Yeah.
I coached in Iowa for 9 years. I was the head coach at Nevada High School
Oh, yeah.
in 96 through 99, and I was at Des Moines East from 2000 until 2004. We had a good run at East. That's when we turned it around and went to the playoffs 3 years in a row and had a really good run. Had some really good players. I was fortunate.
I'll try to like you guys. If you can't see, there's some Husker gear up here. Okay.
Kevin, when you get a picture like Mike has, we will give you a little more street cred. I think Campbell is the most underrated coach in America. So, guys, here's why Darrin is on today. And I appreciate you, Coach Luster, Kevin. Appreciate you being here, Mike. And I love the concept of the Arena podcast because we're not going to learn about Darrin's history and why he got into coaching. We don't care if he likes walks on the beach and sunsets. We want to know, what does Darrin do that we can use tomorrow? I want this to be the most practical podcast anywhere. So yesterday when Darrin and I are talking about OVR, and Darrin is an outside the box thinker, that seriously, he says stuff like, OVR, y'all, there's daily trivia questions. And he says, Coach, I can't see the trivia questions. Like my kids could be answering the trivia questions with male body parts being funny and I won't know. And well, duh. And so he makes suggestions like that that really help me. And I thought, okay, Darrin probably does something that is better than most people that we need to have him on the podcast. So here, when I ask someone to be on the podcast, here's what I say. What do you do that's better than anyone else in the world with your football program that can help coaches tomorrow? And he said, well, coach, I've got this Glacier Clinic deal I do about how you prepare now to play your best at the end of the season. I said, perfect, because people are starting to doodle about practice and let's start thinking about how we're going to do fall camp. I always want these podcasts to be relevant for now. So, Darrin, I know that was a long introduction, but you went, and Darrin's never told me this, how humble he is, but I've Googled Whiteland when they got into OVR. Y'all went to the state finals last year, right?
22.
22.
22 was our year in the
Okay.
state finals. Yes,
I
we
knew it
made it
was
to the
real
finals.
recent. You've had a good run at Whiteland, and We're proud to have you, buddies. If you would give us the 30-second intro and tell us a little bit more about you, and we'll get rolling.
My name's Darrin Fisher. I'm the head football coach at Whiteland High School. We're a school of about 2,100 students on the south side of Indianapolis. We play 6A football now. We just moved up a classification to the largest one in Indiana. So we are kind of the little engine that could in the big class now. I've been a head coach at Whiteland for 22 years. I'm in a football town. We've been playing football here since 1964. I'm one of only 5 head coaches since 1964, and I'm really proud of that. Two of those guys before me were actually on my staff for a period of time. I'm lucky I'm in a football town. I tell my kids that all the time. A lot of people play football in places where it doesn't matter. We're in a place where it does matter, and I think that is something to be really proud of, and I'm glad I've been a part of that. For your town, for your school, for your teammates is what we talk about all the time, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
I want to say this. Everyone knows this too. You're inside a coach's office. If you're listening to this, I invite people to be a part of this. And that's why I appreciate about Eric. Eric's here every time he can be. And this is a coach's office conversation. So I used to get chat to help me come up with all these questions and all, and it was hard to keep up. And so this is really just going to be an organic conversation. And I think Darrin just made a good point that I want to unpack is here's what's really hard to go to a school where football wasn't important. And I think the way someone told me this one time at the dinner table, did dad and grandpa play football? You can't change that. But when you're looking for a job, that's a thing. If dad and grandpa played football and they were good, they probably will put some pressure on little Tommy to go to the weight room. So Darrin, football's important in Whiteland. And you guys right now, because it's June the 10th, tell us real quick before we get into the nitty gritty, how are y'all doing summer? And I used to call it strength and conditioning until Rick Jones told me that didn't sound fun enough. So how do y'all do? What's y'all's mascot?
We are the Whiteland Warriors.
How do y'all do Whiteland Summer Fun Camp? What's y'all's
Well, in Indiana, we've got some rules. So in the summertime, we can have 12 padded practices in shells, not full pads. We can practice with an opponent and have a scrimmage 5 times during the summer. Those are all under control. So we, in the state of Indiana, we've been jumping over cones and running around things and, doing all those things all winter and all spring. In the summertime, we've started to do OTAs. Everybody organizes their summer differently. I'm a less is more guy. We go 3 days a week. Every time our kids come to school, that includes about a 45-minute stint in the weight room, about a 40-minute offensive drill period on the field, and about a 40-minute defensive pod or drill period on the field. We're building skills right now, but we get to practice some football in the summertime. Again, I'm a less is more guy. Just because you can be in pads 12 times, we're not in pads 12 times. If you can compete with an opponent 5 times, we don't do that all 5 times. I'm a less is more guy. I think you want to leave kids saying, when August 1st comes, we get to play football now. I don't want them to say, football again, or God, football still. And I think one of the things of the topic of my conversation is how to play your best at the end of the year. Those bodies only have so much work and so many hits in them. You don't want to use them all up in the preseason practice and summer camp.
I remember COVID 2020 in Texas. Everything was a big deal, but it was the first year in Texas we could practice legally football skills in the summer. In 2019 and before, we could do strength and conditioning. We could do zero football legally, and everybody was breaking the rule. In 2020, we could do 2 hours a week. We started doing 30 minutes a day, 5 minutes of kicking, 10 minutes a hole, whatever, organized. Maybe it was the first year, but in August, my kids were burnt out. I love what you're talking about now. Number one for you, you want them to get their stuff without being burnt out.
Some people lift in the morning and then bring them back to practice in the evening. I'm an AM guy. We go at 7 a.m. During the school year, when we do our speed development, we're doing it at 6:25 a.m. Our kids know we're going to go in the morning. The weather's pretty good. It's hot here today, but it's really good in the morning. And our kids know there's no interference with other sports. I love my kids playing multiple sports. I'm at a school at 2,100. I've got some 3-sport athletes. This morning's workout, I had four of them leave early for a basketball shootout that we were hosting in the gym with our head basketball coach. And I had a couple others that had to go to baseball. They had a travel tournament up at Grand Park on the north side of Indianapolis where everybody from the country comes to play. I tell them, hey, go compete, have fun, see you later. And when football comes around in July, they come to me and go, Coach, I want to be at OTAs. I don't want to play my 67th baseball game of the summer. I'd like to come to football because we don't do football that often. We're not wearing them out. We're not burning them out.
So y'all do OTAs June and July.
Yeah, we have a couple of weeks in June and a couple of weeks in July. The weight room is always open. Our strength coach is always there. But we tell the kids, hey, we only want 3 days a week. We go Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We don't do anything on the weekends. No Fridays, no Saturdays, no Sundays. We don't travel. If we're going to get together with another opponent and practice, we're going to go to a college campus and do it, or we're going to go to somebody else's school and do it. But again, I'm not spending all day Saturday at a 7-on-7 tournament. I'm kind of over that. We're not going to lineman challenges. I feel like I want them all there at the same time. I don't want to separate the linemen and take them over here, do the 7-on-7 and take the skill guys over here. I don't want to do that. I want to do stuff that we can build the team, make the team stronger, strengthen the team, and everybody can be around each other. They don't remember 7-on-7 or lineman challenges. They remember the bus ride to the 7-on-7 and the challenge. They remember the meal that you had before it or after it. That's what they remember. So I want to provide as many of those moments as I can and spend some time to get better at football too and not monopolize the whole summer. Do I want them to have a job? Yes. Do I want them to play another sport? Yes. Do I want them to go fishing? Yes. I want them to do all of those things and
Well,
play
and
football and be good at football too.
they can have a 3 or 4 day weekend with their parents and it doesn't interrupt anything. Truth be told, I used to do 5 days a week because there's a team we had to beat called Alito who won 10 out of 12 state championships, and they were doing 5 days a week. I regret it now because we probably could have went 6 days a week and we weren't going to beat Alito. I believe that Rick Jones, he won 9 state titles and they did 16 workouts in July. So I don't think you have to do 37 workouts in the summer. Now, Darrin, I don't want to jump around too much and you lose your train of thought, but here's something we always talk about on this podcast is my philosophy is I think you got to punish kids. If somebody's not here, the DB coach needs to know where he is and someone needs to be contacting him. We'll even contact parents. Hey, where's Tommy? But the main thing as I've gotten older is shift to more reward. How do you reward kids who stay 2 weeks in a row? Tell us how you do your reward system.
I think that's where OVR has really helped over the past 3 weeks because it's given us a grit point system where we're measuring them on their ability as a student. We have a scale for what they've done from a citizenship standpoint. We've got, hey, what's your attendance at our morning? I told you we work out in the morning. What's your attendance in the morning? How many we chart reps, how many wins and how many losses at those morning of champions workouts. We have a point system. That's how we determine who gets the single digit numbers in our program. That's how we determine who gets to eat first. But for us, we reward them. You have to have those little milestones. Kids will do anything for a t-shirt. We give them the dedicated double dozen award where if you've been to workouts 24 times in a row, we're going to give you a t-shirt. Now, this year it was a America 250 theme. Our slogan is break the rock. That's kind of our mantra around here. We make sure that we had a nice American flag t-shirt, break the rock, the whole thing. Kids love it. Something that they want to have. This morning with the OVR, we took the first 2 weeks. If you were in the top 20 in the OVR scores, we drew numbers out of a hat this morning and gave away one of our coaching staff caps that's made with a ball that was actually played on our field. Our kids get fired up about those. Those are special things we do. We bought mouthpieces. We give the dollar orange mouthpieces because our colors are royal and orange. We bought the Nike ones with the blue swoosh. We're going to give those away for an attendance month in June where you didn't miss any days of OTAs. I like to reward the ones that do. I don't like to punish the ones that don't. That's sort of the philosophy. A lot of it's prizes, but I think more of what it is with OVR, which I really like, is we've got a young team. Last year we had 38 seniors, and we had a really good run, had a really good team. And this year's team is super young. And our slogan this year for our season is the race to maturity. How fast can we get a young team to grow up? And OVR is helping us to get them. Culture to me is how do your behaviors make everybody feel about being a football player today? How you behave today make Johnny feel about coming to football. How you behave today, did it make Johnny want to come tomorrow? I want to make football the best part of their day if I can do it. Now, that doesn't mean I don't coach hard. That doesn't mean we don't get after them a little bit, because we sure do. Anybody that knows me knows I get after them a little bit. But you got to build that relationship with them first, which comes from all of those other things that we're doing. But again, the OVR is helping us. We have a weekend challenge with OVR. These first 3 weeks, we send them a weekend challenge on Huddle and on the message on the OVR app that says, hey, there's 3 ways you can earn a point this weekend. Send me a video of you doing 4 sets of squats at 75% of your max. Send me a video. We do a change of direction circuit. Send me a video of you running the change of direction circuit properly, full speed with all 9 reps. We send them a technique video of their drills. Hey, tell me in the technique video which play numbers was your position group named, and tell me the skill that the coach said was critical that you learned for that day. Answer me on Huddle, send me that note. So we started giving those things for weekend work. So even though we're only at school 3 days a week, we all know 3 days a week isn't enough. We know that's not enough to beat the team down the street. I've got the same team right down the street that if they're going to a 7-on-7 tournament, why aren't we going, coach? So I know what you're talking about, but I want the work from them. I want it to be intrinsic. I want them to want to do it, and OVR is really helping that. So again, I'm thankful to all of you that developed OVR. Coach Starcher is the one that got me turned on to it. And again, it's been a good add to our program.
Man, I know y'all, this can't be an OVR commercial, but if you're not using OVR, the days you're not working out, have them video themselves, do change of direction, whatever's important to you, and put it in your team chat. Because I think most people listening to this has that you probably have squads or something, and if you don't, then contact me and I'll show you how to do it. But have some squads and keep points and reward squads. So what Darrin's saying, the guys won a jillion games, is give them some challenges over the weekend, have them video themselves, put it in your sports you or band or remind, and give them here. I'm just talking out loud here. Tommy does change of direction drills, videos it, give Tommy +2, but get everybody in his squad +1. Now the people in the squad are texting each other, hey, make sure you're turning in your drills because we're all going to get points. If you want to have a great program, you got to go the extra mile. Every 2 or 3 weeks, you have a pizza party for the winning squad. It's not that hard to do, and it's not that expensive. Darrin, what else? Take us to the next rung of what we should be thinking about now to play our best ball in the fall.
I've got 9 things on this list. So I'm going to go through the list with you and give you some examples. Number one, you got to practice the things that win football games. I'm convinced. I've got stats. I've been coaching a long time. I've got stats of the things that I believe win games. So I'm going to give you some stats, some drive charts. Over the last 22 years at Whiteland High School, we have an 85% scoring rate if we have one explosive play and 0 negative plays or dead ball fouls. We score 85% of our drives over those 22 years. We have only a 75% chance of scoring when you don't turn the ball over, you don't have any negative plays, you don't have any dead ball fouls, but you don't get an explosive play. So to me, I've seen over the past 6 years, especially since 2018, that was where the end all be all. And ball security is not sexy. It's not great, but by God, it's important, because if you take care of the football, they don't have a chance to score and you do. So I believe that you have to take care of the football. So our stats are, since 2005, if we don't commit any turnovers, we're 48-13. If we have a positive turnover ratio, we're 90-18 over the past 22 seasons. If we're even, we're 37-23. If we lose the turnovers, we're 23-45. So my point would be, I've got evidence that tells you turnovers are number one. But I will say this, in the past 7 years, we're 20-5 if we don't turn the ball over in the past 7 years. But 4 of those 5 losses, we lost the big play battle. We did not have plays over 20 yards. To me, it's plays over 20 yards. And if we can do that, but again, for the previous 17 years before that, it was all about turnovers to me. Well, we had some years where I keep a ratio between them. I don't know if you've ever heard of the 12% rule, and that's basically, we call it Whiteland can't beat Whiteland. If your explosive play total is bigger than 12 and your Whiteland can't beat Whiteland, or your ability to commit dead ball fouls or missed assignments or beat yourself is less than 12, you're going to win. Team, we only had 9% of our plays that we committed a dead ball foul or a turnover or a missed assignment. But our explosive plays were only 8%. This year was 8.6, where we beat ourselves. But since we only had 7% explosive plays, we were in the negative. That's the only losing record I've had here. So that made me think about, wow, we need to create some explosive plays, and what's the importance of that? I think you got to practice the things that are important. So if turnovers are important, spend your time practicing the different scenarios. I punch the ball out. I strip the ball out. I tip the ball, get my hands up if I'm a defensive lineman and I'm blocked, and I tip the ball. Spend time practicing things that win games. Forcing turnovers wins games. Taking care of the football. Practice ball security. It's not sexy for every position, but my goodness, it's important. Practice ball catching. A lot of kids don't go out in the backyard and play anymore. Do individual drills. Our kids catch 80 balls before practice ever starts because we do drills that are on your back or on your knee or over your shoulder where you're not running anywhere, but you're catching balls with a partner. You don't need a jugs machine to throw it, but drop balls will cost you games. You got to practice the ability to force those explosive plays. We did an explosive play study, and basically it's those blocks downfield. Being a 6-second player, do you win the pile? Do your offensive linemen run down the field and win the pile? Does that give you 3 extra yards? Does a 12-yard play become a 15-yard play because your lineman went down the field and won the pile? Does the 10-yard play become a 15-yard play because your receivers boxed out downfield instead of blocked in the back and you lost 15 yards? Did they box out downfield when the ball was behind them? So what I'm saying is you got to look at what really wins games. And we've boiled it down to 2 things: turnovers and creating big plays. Okay. I think practicing the things that wins games is really important. So that's number 1.
Today, I'm doing a chat with someone at a big company, and I was very nice, but I said, hey, listen, I'm 58 and I'm not technically an idiot, but if y'all had this on your website of like something that I wouldn't have to spend this time figuring it out and chatting with you. Her response was, she gave me a link to an article. She goes, yeah, it's in this article that we have on here. This is 2 hours ago. I said, ma'am, I can't read articles. I have a mind of a goldfish. I said, if you will suggest to your bosses they have a quick start guide that will give me the basics in bullet points, I think you'll get a raise. So here's my little brain to you, Darrin, is give me exactly how we practice. When you plan your practice schedule this summer for fall camp, you got to have a turnover station.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then, so y'all, I put in the link here. I put in, this is gold, the New England Patriots turnover circuit on YouTube. It's 30 something minutes. And if you've never watched it, it's unbelievably great. And we used to just, that's what we used, Eric, and you probably heard me talk about it, but so it's great because it's offense and defense. So how do you, what you're saying, Darrin, and I know I'm oversimplifying this because I'm totally on board with you. Big plays to me, well, Kevin Kelly says big plays are 81% and turnovers are 78%. You got to win the plus 20. Side note, when you're game planning, you got to game plan 4 plays that are going to be play action shots or some fake reverse post and hit 2 of them. And
I'm trying to look big picture, but a lot of people, they watch plays on Twitter. They go to a clinic, they pick things up. They don't have an offense. They just have plays and they don't really know how to coach them. I'm a system football guy. But I believe that everything, there should be a system. There's a culture system to get the behavior you want. There's a grit point system we've got to get the buy-in that you want. There's a reward system. All these things are systems. So you got to decide, like you can't have this giant drill. People say to me all the time, well, don't you have variety in your practice? Don't they get bored? Yeah, because winning and doing the right thing, don't get bored doing stuff right because the right stuff to do is part of the game. Like we don't run any offensive line drills that aren't actually part of the game. We down block and pull and wrap around stuff all the time because you're practicing down blocks and pulling, but you're doing them together because that's what we do. on zone dive. Those are the things. So what I'm saying is guide your activities toward the things that are actually going to win games. This morning, we had our pads on for the first time, shoulder pads on all summer. We got the barrels on the 1 yard line, and we did what we call the moment of truth drill, where we're 1 yard apart, two guys on each side of the barrel, got to run your feet through contact. It's a contact drill, but they were only 2 yards apart.
Right.
You got to get guys to run. You got to do the difference drill. The difference drill to us is you can't play defense if you can't get off the block. You got to be able to shed a block. So we practice striking and running through the block if it feels soft. We practice striking it and yanking it down and getting out of the way if the block was super physical against you. So you got to practice the things that win games. Tackling wins and loses games. Turnovers win and lose games. And big plays win and lose games. So we got all of those activities. And then we can get into special teams, how big a part of the game that actually is. And we did a special team circuit. Last week we did a coverage circuit. Today we did a return circuit as part of our deal. So that's what we spent our time on this morning. It wasn't beautiful scheme. It's not all about, we win a lot of games here because we're ugly. We just mudded up. We play really good.
Right?
That's what I mean. You can't beat yourself. I believe this, Randy, 100%. More games in high school football are lost than they are won. That's part of my conversation. Part of it is just don't lose the game. Just don't lose the game. Give them a chance. It's the even games that you got to find a way to win those. You got to get the ball, get to the fourth quarter and give yourself a chance and play the middle eight theory, even though they're saying that's
I know they're disproving that.
I know. I can't believe it. But again, I think all those things are really important. You got to practice the things that not only win you games, but don't lose the game.
What coaches should be doing now, or you should be planning a turnover circuit that's O&D. Get on YouTube and type in New England Patriot turnover circuit drill. You need to be figuring out what are your plus 20s going to be in the fall.
Right. And then, how are you going to teach contact? How are you going to teach forcing turnovers? Okay. How are you going to teach ball security? All those things for us are circuits. But a circuit's great, but it's got to build from the drill into the group periods, into the team periods, into the game. So we try to keep a minimal amount of things, make sure the entire coaching staff and the entire program, we run the fly offense. This is not an offensive talk, but our kids run it from the second grade up. That's what they run.
Okay, what's the fly offense? Jet sweep and
yes, the fly offense. Mark Speckman's a very good friend of mine. A lot of people have heard Mark's name, and I was fortunate enough to learn this offense from Mark in '99. And we've been running it since then, and it's been great. But the point is, we have a system, and everybody in our program knows it. Everybody from second grade up knows how we teach the moment of truth to run through contact, how we teach the difference of how to get off a block, how we're going to say, when do I strip the ball? When do I punch at the ball? How do I secure the ball? When you're a ball carrier, you got to have a way. A tackler's coming at me from the side. What do? We strike it. A tackler's coming at me from the front. What do? Single guy, I rip it. Two guys are coming. I got to brace the ball. I got to brace it. Those are things everybody does at every level. I like to teach in threes. Our offensive linemen, our run skills, lead, reach, cutoff step. When we pass that, we power down, angle out, or hold the post. Like I said, our balls carriers have three things. Our perimeter blockers have to be able to do three things. At this time of year, you have to plan, how are we going to teach the things that win games? Teaching the drill of, we're going to jump over this bag, and then we're going to shuffle over this one, and then we're going to run over here and side shuffle, and then I'm going to run through the drill, and the coach is going to tip the bag one way or the other. I know that's repping inside zone, but if you don't run inside zone, don't run the drill. Yeah. Like, you have to understand how the drills lead themselves to your football program winning games.
I want to say this. The magic of coaching, to me, what Darrin is saying is, don't have too much stuff and let it be almost boring. I used to would have disagreed with that, but I went and watched a Alabama practice in the semifinals about 2021 or 2022, and they were in AT&T Stadium about to play Cincinnati, and it was a long, full pad practice, and I never one time I heard a coach tell somebody where to go in a drill. It was an orchestra. Everyone knew where to go. Even at a foreign stadium, everyone knew where to go. And I could tell they'd ran that same Tuesday practice all year. Part two of that is, if you want to be a great coach, you got to be able to coach the same drill all season with enough juice that they still like to hear you coach it. I'm an O-line guy. If I'm coaching down block, I'm going to coach down block from August to December the same way, but I'm going to be so excited about it that they are still like hearing me coach it.
Agree.
Coach, I'm gonna add this to it. What I'm getting out of it is that this is important to them. And the drills are not just something that they're doing. They're doing this because it's important to their programs, it's important to coach. And he's got them bought into more games are lost than won. And if we don't take care of these things, then we're going to lose these games. And that's kind of what I'm listening to, all the percentage of stuff that goes into it, explosive plays or greater than turnovers and all that. So these guys are not getting bored with the little things because in their culture, the little things win games. That's what I'm getting out of listening to coach right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love it.
That leads me to number two. You have to capture the hearts and minds of your players. If there's a skill that I think I have, it's not always being the smartest dude in the room, but I do believe that I do a good job of capturing the hearts and minds of my players. And I do it in a couple ways. My wife, Susan, is a marketing executive for a Fortune 100 company. And she told me when I got my first head coaching job, every good program, every good business has a story that represents their vision for the program, and you have to sell it daily and keep it on the top of their minds. What Coach just said is correct. If you've got a plan to win, you have got to constantly say it all the time. If you've got a culture, behaviors that you want, you've got to constantly just bombard. I always say it, it's like propaganda. They used to drop leaflets so they could read them and say that, hey, our way of government is better than your way of government because it was constant bombardment. Those emails home, those conversations that you have, having one voice from your coaches, don't leave the meeting until you tell the coaches, hey, this is how we're going to answer this question. This is how we're going to talk about this subject, whatever it happens to be. Urban Meyer said a great thing about unconscious competence. When you talk about that drill not being boring, it's because we keep telling our kids the goal is to get to October where you don't have to think about it. When I call outside zone into the boundary, you automatically start shifting into, man, I can sprint to hit. I can just run off the ball. I don't have to think about the assignment. I don't have to think about the calls. I can just sprint off the football. And that only happens if you practice, in my mind. The only way I can make that happen is to practice the same thing over and over and over again with a great story that makes them think, man, I love doing this because it's for my town, it's for my teammates, it's for my school. This is the culture of our team. This is the best part of my day. I love football, all those things. And again, I think that's the main part is no matter how good you are at your job, man, if you're good at capturing the hearts and minds of your players, you get better at your job and you get a chance to keep your job because everybody knows that, hey, these kids and these parents in this town, they've bought into the way that he does football. I don't care what your scheme is. They've bought into this. Capturing the hearts and minds of your players is the partner step with all that other stuff that we talked about the X's and O's and skills and all those things. It's getting them to want to do it and do it well and do it with intent is important.
Love it. To make this practical, if you don't have some core values, something that guides your program. If you're just practicing in August and there isn't anything that binds them together, now's the time to be working on that. I remember being at a University of Minnesota spring team meeting and PJ Fleck saying something like, you're juiceful, and all 150 people in the room yelled, you're useful. And I think you got to have some of those where everyone wants to point in the same direction, but you got to give them something to point at. So to synopsize this time of the year, be working on something to capture their hearts and minds.
I think the next thing we want to do is you leave no stone unturned. As a coach, part of your job, the most important thing I have to do every day is prepare a great practice plan. I spend so much time preparing for practice. There are practices and there's rehearsals. Picture the Thursday practice in America, right? The Thursday practice in America is we all go out in our underwear and we walk through all the situations and all the scenarios. That's a rehearsal. It's not set up for failure. You got to practice a couple days a week where your kids are going to fail because that's where they learn. They learn when they fail. Monday and Tuesday are practices because we are actually going to test them, make them fail, put them in the worst case scenario where they have to learn to respond to things that didn't go quite well. He's got me out leveraged. What do I do? right? He split my combo a little bit with his head. How do I react? I think there's practices versus rehearsals. Rehearsals are important too. You got to have rehearsals where you're doing it right and you understand what the look is going to be. I think number two, at least offensively for us, we practice against every front and every secondary rotation in all the scenarios, even if I don't see them on film for this week. Bill Lynch used to be the head coach at Indiana and at DePaul University or in Indiana for a long time. Have a plan, work the plan, and plan for the unexpected. I've lived by that for 35 years. So we practice. I coach the offensive linemen. Every time our kids do reps, they do 4 in a row. They'll do one, picture power. We'll do power against a 3 and a 1. We'll do power against 2 eyes. We'll do power against a 1 and a 3. And then we'll do power against 404. Everybody gets all the looks, and they're going to fail once in a while because they didn't communicate well. Communication is like great teams are loud when they play ball. Communication is intimidating. You got to practice that in practice. It can't be just rehearsals where it's a perfect look. You got to get them done when you practice and you schedule in some failure so they can get that done. You got to practice situational football, drive starters, clutch plays. You know, you got to think about at practice, we start our team periods with a kick. I got this from Coach Campbell at Iowa State when we took our staff to visit. They started every team period with a kick. If they were practicing team offense, they ran a kick return first. They were practicing team defense, they started with a punt or a punt return first. One play, we scripted in, everybody knows who the scout team is, and it changed our world because we started team offense with our punt team trying to pin them inside the 5-yard line. And then we started with the ball at the 4-yard line and said, what are the 3 plays we have to do to get out of here? Are we going to shift? Are we going to go in motion? Those things have been huge for us to practice situational football. A friend of mine up here in northern Indiana does something called clutch plays. Like they're going to do inside drill. Inside drill for us starts with 4th and 1. And we start every one with 4th and 1. Our team pass might start with 3rd and 9. What do you have to remember about 3rd and 9? Defend the sticks, right? So all those things, I think you build those into the thing. You don't have to do situational practice on Thursday. You can do situations all the time. Start every 7-on-7 period with a situation. Start every team period with a special team situation where I'm going to try to pin them, or we put our punt returner on the 10-yard line. And if it's over your head, let it bounce. Like all those things. And fundamentals always above new scheme. We don't add stuff during the year. If we don't practice it in June, we're not running it in October. And then the last thing is I like to script everything. I script everything that's done in practice. There's comfort with the kids and them knowing. We ran 310 plays of team offense this week. Last week, we ran power 16% of our offensive calls. Well, guess what? We just practiced power 16% of our practice time. So there's comfort in the kids knowing we're practicing what we actually run in the game. I think the ability to leave no stone unturned in getting your team ready to play, not just having that script on Thursday where you practice backed up offense and the 2-point conversion play. Do it all week long. Do it in practices when they can fail.
Yep. Coach, I'm so excited about this. My brain is doing backflips. So we're fixing to do team offense. And the ball is going to be on the 50. And my punter, Jose, who doesn't do anything all day, is going to get to punt and try to down it inside the 10.
Correct.
Guys, that's good. If he does, I'm giving him a point on OVR, whoever downs it, you know.
Right.
But what would it be if you're starting team defense? Would it be punt block?
We do punt block, PBR. We'll do punt block or return. We'll do a kickoff. If we're going to play defense, we'll do it. So maybe in the kickoff drill, we didn't work on our sky kick. That'll be the time to work on the sky kick. We do it in a situation before the team offense. Maybe we didn't work on our bunt onside kick during the kickoff period of special teams. That's when we get those special situations in. Sometimes we send our team offense, we start with our hands team. So if we're going to practice 4-minute offense, we'll start 4-minute. Cover up your buddies. Not just Thursday. We do it live during the week on a Monday or Tuesday when you're actually having a hard practice. Execute at the time you need to execute, not what the script on Thursday tells you to do.
And you get 1 rep. I think that's vital. I used to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
0,
have
1.
Yeah.
That's it.
If you have 5 minutes of kickoff, then the first one isn't good. But on this situation, Jose, our punter, he's got 1 rep to get inside the 10. Either he does it or he doesn't, just like a game. I want to come back to this, Darrin.
Right.
I wanted my team to be the loudest on the field. And you said that, and it made my heart happy, but that's hard to coach. So, any of you guys, Mike, Eric, Kevin, Ben, anyone that wants to chime in on this, I'll start with you, Darrin. If someone's listening to this and gets one idea of how they can get their team to communicate more, it was worth their time today. How do you coach your guys being loud?
It goes back to the preparation for the game. If you've got a great scouting report that's narrowed and limited, and they know that when they line up in this formation with the H back on that side and number 7 is in the slot over here, they know what play they're going to run. Your defense being able to call it out, hey, number 7's getting the ball right over here, that's intimidating as can be. I think preparation is number one, and they have to know the scouting report and know what you're trying to stop. Don't chart the whole thing. These are the 5 run plays we're trying to stop. These are the 5 pass concepts we're trying to stop. Here's the 4 formations they run them out of. Now, they might have 18 different formations, but you picked 4 of them because they're going to do that. And that's the thing you drill the kids on. And they kind of know what they need to identify. Also, I read a University of Michigan study where they said, got 5 seconds to get to a teammate in order to make him think about the next play and play the next play and not think about the last one. And the University of Michigan study said, picture a women's volleyball or a men's, picture a volleyball match. Every time there's a volleyball point, whether they get the point or lose the point, don't they all meet in the middle and slap hands? Psychologically, they say that that makes you have the ability to move on to the next play. Same thing with basketball. Guy shoots a free throw, whether he makes it or misses it, everybody meets him in the lane and slaps hands. Football's hard because it's spread out, but the data says they have to talk to each other. They have to communicate. So you got to overdo. It's a slide I show every day. Great teams are loud when they play ball. You can tell how successful a team is by how loud they are when they play. If they're silent when they play, they're timid. You know, playoffs especially, when the swing and momentum happens, and the kids quit thinking about the next play and they start thinking about the scoreboard and, man, this could be my last game, they get really quiet. Kids get timid. They start thinking about failure. They get really quiet. If your team's really quiet, they're thinking about failure. And you got to think about, how do I get them out of that? I want them to play with some confidence. And I think you can build confidence through communication. I really believe you can do that.
You should be practicing that in the weight room. I used to constantly blow the whistle and stop and say, Tommy, I want you to encourage someone over 20 feet away. And he would yell. And if he yelled at Eric, Eric would yell at somebody else. But you can coach communication in the weight room. Does anybody on our panel have a way that you coach communication? Because it's a big deal if you can help some coaches.
Especially coaching younger players, younger kids. The number one thing that keeps them quiet is that fear of failure. I'm big on trying to pull that out, and that's more of a culture element and stressing that from the get-go. I told the kids this morning, I said, listen, you're going to mess up. I asked them, you're going to mess up. Are you going to be perfect? No. I said to the linebackers today, I said, listen, I need you to make the call. Didn't make it louder. I need you to make it louder. I said, guys, even if you make the wrong call, you need to go, right? You need to go. You can't let the fear of making that mistake hinder you from going and playing the play. So for me, it's trying to take that fear of failure out of their minds. And I love what he did about getting together and talking about next play. So I think that's something you tell each other, just next play, next play, next play.
Yep.
I think especially for younger kids, they're so scared of making a mistake that slows them down. And I think that for me, I got to coach that and address that from the get-go to get that out of there.
Yeah, in the weight room, Kevin, I would be thinking, okay, how can I incorporate next play where maybe every time y'all rotate in the weight room, everybody's got to find 5 kids and say next play 2 before we start the next exercise. I'm totally spitballing here.
We worked with a sports meditation person last year with our wellness program at school, and I brought him in for football. And one of the things he talked about was the breathing that goes along with being able to put a play behind you and focus on the next one. Down at Vanderbilt, I've got a former student that works down there as a nutritionist, and we went to practice. And one of the things they do is they've got a reset plan where if the play is over with, I take 2 deep breaths, I hold it, I let it out for 4 counts, and then I say whatever my keyword is, attack. They all have one. George Kittle's got that reset button tattooed onto his forearm. that when he plays a play, he pushes it. So it's his mental reminder, I got to play the next play.
I did
Whatever
not
that
know
is.
about that tattoo. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Whatever that is, I think you've got to find something. So again, there's some ways in the sports science world that they've gotten athletes, I should say, to move on and play the next
Yeah.
play. So we spend a
Yeah.
lot of time. Again, it was part of that University of Michigan study that we did about playing the next play, and they had some things from different resources. And I enjoyed reading those, and we've implemented a few.
Well, here's my definition of mental toughness. How fast can you get over a mistake? And that's why I love tempo offense. If you're snapping the ball every 12 seconds, they are having to reset. And I think it's really tough, man. If you ever coach against me and we get 10 or more yards on a play, we're going to yell psycho or something and run it again as fast as we can because mental toughness, man, it makes it really difficult to get over a mistake. Yeah, the reset button. I'm going to find a picture of that tattoo. All right, Darrin, what's next, buddy?
I think the other thing is I call it get the horses to the starting gate. Bodies have so many hits in them. We try not to waste those hits in practice by landing on the ground. Everybody teaches tempo. There's teaching speed, there's whiz tempo, which means we're just going to fly by and tag off at the hip, whatever you want to call it. Then there's thud. Here's two things I've picked up. Number one is you challenge your kids and you say good athletes can practice full speed and stay on their feet. If you can't stay on your feet, you might not be as good an athlete as you actually think you are because you can't stay on your feet. I got that from Dan McCarney. I learned from Dan. That was something I heard him say. One of the greatest things that I heard that we've instituted since that day was I'm really not name dropping here. I just go watch a lot of people practice because I love watching people practice football and I learn things. We went to practice at Northwestern in 2018, and there was a team session going on, and the offense scored in the red zone. But the offense had their chins on their chest, and the defense was jumping up and down, yelling and screaming. I had to ask Coach Fitzgerald after practice, I'm confused. You guys ran a red zone drill. The offense scored, and the defense is celebrating, and the offense is sad. Tell me what happened. He said, well, here's what you probably didn't hear. Did you hear somebody scream as loud as they could scream during the play? And I said, yeah, I did hear that. He said, when our defensive end gets free and he's got a kill shot on the quarterback, he screams as loud as he can, which lets the defense know that I would have had a sack here. We win the rep. And I said, well, can't he just scream he goes, if you're straining, can you scream? He said, if he's getting blocked, he can't scream. If he's straining, he's not going to be able to scream. Same with the safety. The safety that comes over the top on the seam route, he goes, did you notice the seam route we ran where they actually caught the seam route, but the safety screamed at him before that? Well, what did the scream mean? It means, man, if this had been a game, I probably would have broken that ball up. You know what I mean? And I said, well, couldn't he scream? He goes, well, if you're really out of position and sprinting to recover, do you think you could scream?
Yeah.
And I said, no. And we've instituted that at practice. It gives the defense a chance to win the reps, even though you're saying be safe. Because here's what happens. We go scrimmage somebody, and the linebackers, they're like, thud him up, thud him up, thud him up. And then the running back lowers his shoulder and flippers the guy out of the hole. And the linebacker, the next rep goes, I'm not letting you do that to me. And it escalates. Thud becomes nasty. Well, when does thud not become counterproductive? When the defense can win the rep. Even though you're going thud and you don't want your best back to get hit, you can win the rep on defense by instituting, we call it situational safety. That's situational safety to us. We try to do that. That's been a good ad for us to get the horses to the starting gate.
That's really good. Another side note, I saw Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern was practicing for a bowl game in about 2015. The hardest working coach I've ever seen at a practice. He's literally running the scout team cards. We've all been at college practices. I saw Tommy Tuberville shake hands for an entire practice one time. I think he wasn't the head coach at Texas Tech, but
He was at Auburn. He was at Auburn.
Nothing against that, but Pat Fitzgerald, I became a fan of his that day. He'll do fine at Michigan State, I think. He works his tail off.
I think I've coached football this long because I love the process of practice. Every spring I go somewhere and spend 3 days watching somebody practice. And I learn something from everywhere we've gone. And I think that's why this topic is so important to me, because I think it helps coaches if maybe you haven't gotten out to see very many people practice. Well, these are some ideas of things that I have seen. I think the next thing on the list I call it the minimum effective dose theory, stolen from Feed the Cats. I know Tony Holler is a big, speaking all over the country, and everybody's kind of bought into his deal, that pursuit of less. I think you want to keep them as fresh mentally and physically as possible. I used to be, man, long, detailed meetings. I used to be, man, if you want to play physical, you got to practice physical. And it still is a physical game. Don't get me wrong, it is. And then the number of reps at practice. But I have tried as much as I can to minimize all of that and try to keep our kids fast and fresh. Again, here's the topic. We have changed our practice week. And again, this isn't for everybody. And I'm not saying it's the reason why we've won some games, but we have gone to a Wednesday so Monday and Tuesday are full contact practice, thud, not live,
Yeah.
but thud. We're hitting. On Wednesdays, we are no pads at all, and we are having a rehearsal. I talked about practice versus rehearsal. Wednesdays
is
are
this no sweat? Is this
no
no
sweat.
sweat?
Well, it's not no sweat. It's no pads.
Yep.
I don't agree with that. I'm an old guy. You got to work. But I believe that Wednesday's a great day to practice that communication. If you want communication, practice it on Wednesday. They lined up in this formation. What play are they going to run? They go in motion. We're in palms coverage. They go in motion to 2x2 to 3x1. What's the check? Scream it out loud. Offensively, I'm practicing my possession and 10 plays. I'm practicing our third and long plays. I'm practicing our red zone plays, down by vertical field position and by down and distance. I am practicing the game plan on Wednesday with our kids. So on Thursday, when our kids come back for the Thursday practice, they know what play I'm going to call when we get a goal line stand and we're backed up at our own 1 yard line and we're trying to get them jump offside. They know what I'm going to call. They know what the 2-point conversion is. They know what 4th and goal at the 9 in overtime is going to be. I try to script all those scenarios. We rehearse them on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we come back in pro pads and thud it up.
Yeah.
So I reverse the Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know if it works for everybody, but these past 7 years, it's worked for us when we switched them. It gives us 2 rehearsals. Plus, we have a walkthrough before the game on Friday. So it gives us 3 rehearsals. It gives us 3 rehearsals where our kids know, hey, it's 4th and 1. I know what coach is going to call. 3rd and 7 on the left hash. I know what coach is going to call if we're in the red zone versus we're on our own 20. I know what he's going to do.
Yeah, love it. We did that ourselves, and I don't know if many other people who are doing that. This is something I preach with Fast and Wide, but have 2 really tough physical practices. I love the term rehearsal. So we would go full pads on Monday and Tuesday. You don't know how many times I've yelled at overweight JV kids to stay off the ground. But Wednesday is helmets only, no competition. We're going to go some full speed rest, but we're not going to do any competition. Wednesday, man, it's going to be good. Thursday, we put shoulder pads back on. If anybody's listening to this, if you want more information on this, Monday and Tuesday, we'd go about 1:45. Wednesday was 70 and Thursday was 65. Eric, do y'all still do it that way, or do y'all do it? Are you doing something dumb?
We kind of get after, but we don't go as long on Wednesday. Wednesday is like our rehearsal. We're doing half shells. We didn't take the pads off because I still want my guys to kind of get after it. Not really get after it, but hand placement and run your feet. What we're doing is the whole communication piece again, because what we tell our kids, you got to rehearse over and over, is if you say something before the play that's leading, you say something after the play that's complaining. And so we tell them, be needy, not greedy, be needy, not greedy. And that's telling them before the play what I want. If I ask them after the play why I didn't see what I wanted to, I'm complaining about it. And that's the same thing my kids will do to each other. Even in the weight room, I have my kids say, hey, make sure you get low on this rep, versus me yelling, that's not low enough. So it's the difference between leadership and complaining. Say it before the play. Kind of going back to add a plug to OVR is we say these same things, coach, through that app. So we're neuroplasticity is that we're training our kids our core value. We're training our kids what to expect. So when they show up to our practices, when they show up to our meetings, they've already seen it enough to where it's already on the mind. They're coming in already prepared because they've heard it over and over. They've seen it over and over through the coaches, through the app. So it's our culture in a slow drip over and over and over. And that's how we get to the communication part. That's why our Wednesdays are our Wednesdays. It's a rehearsal. It's no more banging. We did that Monday and Tuesday. Our core values is intentional. That's our intentional day to make sure that we're going more team apart that day. We'll do a lot with our JV defensive twos, bring them over to get these looks and get a lot of reps going fast. So my guys didn't really buy into the no sweat or the half shell, and I'm okay with that. We're still repping it and we're talking it beforehand.
So how do y'all do Thursday?
Thursday is we go back and we do team apart, then we do a kick the field script. We don't do 3 plays, coach. We do, man, like a 10 play like drive, and we're knowledge is comfort. I want my guys to know the very first play we're gonna come out in on all of this. So when they're comfortable with it, they believe in it. Coach, we get our quarterbacks and our assistant coaches all in on the game plan. So when we're calling plays, they're comfortable with these plays. And they really believe this is what's going to win them the game. Everything that he's saying, coach, is spot on. I love that the knowledge is comfort because you get reps, we rep situations because that our kids buy into it. We practice halftime. And they know when we're coming out at halftime what's going to be expected. I'm going to steal that whole kicking before team segment thing.
I know, coach.
I'm a coach. I'm stealing that.
Dude, I'm going to get a tattoo of all the phrases on this podcast that I really like before his leadership and after his complaining. That's going to go on this. Right now, Eric, that's going to go on this bicep.
I'm in. That's number one. That's the best thing that's been said today. That's the best said today.
On the left one, you said before his leadership, then on the right one, you're complaining.
That's what I'm doing.
That is the best thing that's been said today.
I think my triceps are so defined that the words would be hard to read.
Gotcha. I got it. You might be stretching it out a little.
Yeah, I think it'd be cumbersome. So, all right, Darrin.
Coach led me to my next one. Good. I think something we say all the time is coach next year's team too. You don't have a program unless you coach next year's team too. We play JV and freshman games on Saturday mornings. They have the same rehearsals on Wednesday, Thursday. They've got the same walkthrough before the game. They've got the same pregame meal. They've got everything. You got to make the JV and freshman games a huge deal. Everybody's got to get reps at practice. We double rep everything in those rehearsals. Those Wednesday, Thursday rehearsals, if the varsity guys are doing it on the right end, the JV guys are doing the same thing on the left end. When it's team defense against us, we got them both going on, the ones and the twos. That teaches the young ones how it's supposed to be done 1 year earlier than you want them to. People are always frustrated. Those young kids are not very good, whatever. Well, you kept them away from you for the whole season and then brought them in the next year thinking they were going to be as good as the kids that just left. They have to be trained. And I think they got to get reps in those drill and pod periods. You got to make sure when your varsity kids go, your strong side of your line gets 4 reps, your quick side of your line gets 4 reps. You can't move on. You got to bring the twos out, get the twos. The strong side's got to get 4, quick side's got to get 4. Whatever it is, you got to make sure you're coaching next year's team too. So coach brought that up, and I think he's right on, and that's something that we spend a lot of time on, coach next year's team too. I think a lot of coaches, when things go wrong, a lot of people start adding things or changing things. We just get simpler. We've got a sign that says, be brilliant at the basics on our wall too. That's the first sign I hung up 22 years ago. More games are lost than they all won. You got to eliminate dead ball fouls. You got to emphasize blocking, tackling, ball security, ball disruption. Stick with your system. Stick with what you're doing. Cumulative reps are the key. The brain research says do it once, a neuro pathway is established. Do it 3 weeks in a row. It becomes a habit, and then it becomes your default in 6 weeks. So you got to stay with it. For us, we always say play your best football in October. Our goal is to play great football in October. In the past 21 years, we're 61-16 in October. And the reason we are is because of staying with it. We have a system. Unconscious competence happens because you practice the same things all the time. You got a message and you get it done. And starting on October 1st, man, it is candy, sunshine, and balloons at Whiteland High School. We are what we are. We're going to do what we do. We know what we're good at. You've got a lineup that's maximizing its potential. You run only the schemes that give you confidence, the staff confidence, and the kids. You don't move positions around after October 1st because you're not going to trick anybody in the playoffs. You better be good at something. So if you want to play in November, you got to be really good in October. The way to be really good in October is stick with it through August and September. Stick with it. Give it your 6 weeks. The brain research says give it your 6 weeks. Get it done. Keep practicing the same things over and over again. 37 years as a teacher, just coach the damn team. Stay out of the office. Don't go to the office. Ignore the coaches in the stands. Keep the main thing the main thing. It's about the kids. And it's about your staff. You got to keep your staff happy. You got to have the back of your staff. You got to make sure they're happy. Kill them with kindness when you answer the email. Type the answer today. Don't send it till tomorrow morning. You might wake up tomorrow morning and decide you're not going to send that email. Somebody sends you that nasty email. You type the reply. You might still send it. Odds are you won't. Stay off social media. Don't get on there. There was a petition in 2017 that wasn't in my favor. I never saw it. I heard about it. I never saw it because I didn't get on social media to look at it. I think if you just coach the team and let all that other stuff take care of itself and ignore it, I think you'll have a happier staff. You'll have a happier just yourself. You'll be more satisfied with your job. And that's my final thought of the 9 things I think that can help you win games. And I appreciate you having me on here.
Oh no, and you're not done yet. Okay, so I'm going to give y'all just because Eric and Ben, Kevin, anyone, I want to give y'all time to think. But here's what I'd love for everyone who doesn't mind participating. What's the one thing that you would say to a coach in June that they should do to get ready for August practice? From his list here, I'm going back to number 1. If you don't already have a turnover circuit in your practice on Monday and Tuesday and Thursday is how I would do it. I wouldn't do it on a Wednesday, but for sure on Monday and Tuesday, and probably on Thursday a little bit shorter. My take home from this is have a turnover circuit and make it where if you're a 2 platoon, make it where it's offense versus defense. In June, get you a play bank of plus 20 plays. So we used to have a little play thing. We're going to be compressed, fake reverse, and run zone. Then fake zone and run reverse. And play 3, fake zone, fake reverse, and then throw a post. You need to come up with some of those in June to have in August for your plus 20s. Darrin just gave us a ton of great stuff, but those are things I would definitely be thinking about. And I'm talking about middle school. Middle school, you could have 3 plays of plus 20 and use them all year where you're not trading film. Anybody else have a take home, or what is the one thing someone should do now to get ready to play in the playoffs?
Coach, we're doing that same mindset with special teams. You never have enough time during the fall to get the drill rep that you want with special teams. So in the summer, you have all the time that you want. So we're doing that up front right now. We're practicing all our reverses, all our fakes on punt. We're doing our different onsides and different kickers and stuff right now. But we're drilling our kickoff, how to get back in your lane, how to get over the top, bust and bench and rip off blocks. And we're doing all that now. That way, when we get to the fall, we're just repping it. Now I can call my punt team out right now before, Coach, we go on our team offense. So I can do all these things now because we're taking advantage of that in the summer. Well, another thing, Coach, that I love to hear, man, I'm still in this phrase from him too, is unconscious competence. I'm still in that phrase as well, that we've done these things so much over the summer that I don't even have to coach it anymore when it comes to the fall. The little things, I don't have to worry about those anymore.
Yep. I love it. Anybody else? What's advice you'd give that something you ought to be doing now?
I'm going to find how I can get my kids to find the reset button. For me, for sure.
I think, Kevin, and Darrin said this, but the magic will be show them a volleyball game or show them the Spurs and Knicks, because he's right. They're all going to say something. If they make the free throw, good job. If they miss it, don't worry about it. I think that's really good for middle school kids. If they can find the reset button before a game, what if you took a Sharpie and drew a reset button on all of them and just said, it's fine, fellas, just touch your reset button. They'd never forget it.
It's a tattoo now. When George Kittle was in college, he drew a red button on his wristband or on his tape. Right now, he has a tattoo of the Joker on his arm, and there's a red part of the tattoo that he tattooed red for his reset button.
Wow. Yeah, that's my pregame. That's my pregame right there story.
Yep. We can't afford tape for every kid, Kevin, but if we could, how great would that be? At their wrist, you probably could. I'd probably just steal some, Kevin, and not tell anybody. So, Ben, I saw you unmute. What's your take home or your tactic?
All right, man. I spent 10, 15 minutes searching Amazon for a decibel meter that I can put at my practice that ranges how loud we get during our teams.
Wow.
So I was like, if I can't measure it, then I can't really, because loud is subjective, right? So I know that elementary teachers put a decibel meter in their classroom, right, to kind of give them the when kids are getting too loud and such. And so I went on Amazon, looks like for $50. And I don't know, I've got a number of kiddos that help us out and we could almost just measure. I want the highest decibel that we had. Some of these are built for factories and it's an arbitrary number, but at least I could measure it and say, okay, today during team, our best decibel meter was 102. I wrote down here that confidence equals loud. So if confidence equals loud, then you could gauge where your kids are at confidence levels if we're making the right calls. And obviously, we got to be saying the right things. I think it's also an indicator of energy, bringing some juice. So that's just where I went with it. I thought, man, if I could measure this, this could be kind of magical.
In the weight
On
room, like the decibel meters got my brain so happy. You could have a decibel meter in the weight room, just see how much juice can we have in the weight room. Wow.
On Thursdays, we play crowd noise. I don't play
Oh,
music. We play crowd noise because I want to force them. So the communication that we practiced on Wednesdays,
yeah.
on Thursday, we do the same thing, but I've got the crowd noise cranked up. We all know on Thursday, sometimes they talk about stuff that we wouldn't like it if they're not concentrating on football. I can't hear it. So
Yeah.
all I can hear
Yeah.
is the crowd noise. So, but I'm forcing them to communicate the way they would in a game. They're not always locked in during the game either, but they have to force themselves to lock back in. And I think the crowd noise is a big thing for
Yeah.
us on Thursdays. We always play crowd noise.
And they talk about it and they probably think it's cool. And our opponent doesn't use crowd noise. And Darrin, it's been great, buddy. I appreciate you, man. You guys on the panel, that was really nice, right? Y'all just talking about these take homes right here at the end. It is like a coach's office. So thanks for being here. But Darrin, you were the rock star today, man. You got a lot of
I
people.
got more than you. I got a page full of notes, even though I was the one talking. I got a page full of notes from everybody else. I appreciate everybody's input.
Thanks. Appreciate you.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
thanks for being on, and I'll see y'all next week.
Thanks.
Thanks, Darrin.